Okay, the title is The Beekeeper,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll read it and see where well, we can see where the emotion hits. I haven't read it out loud for a long time, like
Yep. I want you
not
to
maybe only a couple years, but anyway,
I want you to tap here while you read it out.
okay. Not so long ago, and not so far away, emotion there. Somewhere in Germany,
Mm-hmm.
in the early emotion there, in the
Mm-hmm.
early 1940s, there is a beekeeper. He lives in a small, comfortable cottage on a few hectares of meadowland near a forest. He is considered a bit of a hermit, which is true, and yet he very much enjoys the occasional visits from hikers, his farmer neighbors, and the village folk, and he is welcome in all their homes. And his gifts of large chunks of honeycomb are always very welcome with the children. He is in his early 60s. He came to this place several years ago when he retired from the military. He truly loves it here, living close to nature and working with his bees. And he admires their focus and energy and productivity. It is his special wish, his silent hope, that he can spend the rest of his days here. The war hasn't really touched this small corner of Germany yet, except for the fact that all the younger men are gone to the service. And since through grace and luck and skill, he survived the Great War as a combatant, he figures he can survive this one as a civilian by just staying right here on his little island of tranquility. And then, one bright summer day, a letter arrives.
Mm-hmm.
It is from the local military district. It is a request, translate order, that he be the commandant of a temporary, quote unquote, concentration camp that is nearly finished construction a few dozen kilometers away. He has few options. What's he going to do? Go to England? Very early in the war, some of his friends bailed out for Costa Rica and Argentina. But at the time, he felt too old to start all over again halfway around the world. And that option is pretty impossible now. So he puts the uniform back on and he takes the job. The first thing, the first survival skill that he learns is that whatever you do, you don't show anything to anybody. His eyes become like one-way mirrored glass so that he sees out and no one sees in, whether it's the idiot inspectors they send from Berlin or someone he thinks he recognizes in the lineup. Never, ever show anything to someone you know in the lineup. He goes into psycho-emotional overload real fast. Those damn trains never quit coming. What the hell is he going to do with all these people? What the hell is he going to do with all these people? Why can't they be allowed to stay in their home, for Christ's sake? As fast as the bombs are falling now, it's a major crapshoot if anyone is going to survive this. But then, he thinks, he does still have some semi-decent personal networking, a fair number of connections. Surely he ought to be able to find a surely he ought to be able to find a place for some of them, maybe even quite a few of them. So pull some strings,
Mm-hmm.
find a place, a couple of farms in Poland. Pull some strings, find a place, road gangs in Bavaria. Pull some strings, find a place, a factory in Czechoslovakia. Pull some strings, find a place, pull some strings, find a place, pull some strings, find a place. Get them out of here, get them out of here, get them out of here. Clearly, he didn't find a place for even a quarter of them, not by a long shot. No contest, not even close. 3 years in a job like that, and you've pretty much seen it all. When it was obvious that the Allies were only a few days away, he drove into town on a pretext, changed into his beekeeper's clothes, and he walked home. It only took him a couple of days. The cottage was a shambles, though it was still structurally intact, and there were actually still a few beehives working and operational. So as best he could, he picked up the pieces of his life from before. Several months after the war, he saw an Allied newsreel that included some footage of a bulldozer moving a large pile of nude bodies into an open pit. And the thought that went through his mind was past all of the personal fear, horror, pain, trauma, and tragedy that must have been on each person's path to bring them to that fate. It was simply, those were perfectly good bodies. You don't do that. You just don't do that. What colossal dishonoring. What ultimate waste. As it turned out, he did get to spend the rest of his days on his little island of tranquility, talking to his bees. But he only lasted a couple of years. That whole experience was, for him, like shrapnel in the heart. Wie Shrapnel im Herzen, like shrapnel in the heart.
So when you said all of that, what was coming up for you emotion-wise?
I don't know exactly what words to wrap around, except that I wasn't thinking particularly. I mean, I was just reading the words, and I was caught up in the emotion of that. How can you say emotionally? How can how can how can we humans? How could we Germans? How could we be so stupid with a boatload of emotion in it?
Yep. So let's get on to that. Because there was also that mirror part of the eyes. Don't let them see in.
Yeah. The eyes are one-way mirrors. Nobody sees in.
Yep.
Don't show anything to anybody.
Even though I had that lifetime.
Even though I had that lifetime.
And I pushed a lot of emotion down.
And I pushed a lot of emotion down.
To have to get on with the job I was ordered to do.
To get on with the job I was ordered to do.
I had to put the emotion down to do it.
I had to put the emotion down. I had to stuff it.
And I had to have my eyes as a mirror.
And I had to have my eyes as a mirror to others.
So only I could see out and they couldn't see in.
So only I could see out and they could not see in.
I accept myself.
I accept myself.
And everything I made that mean. So everything I made that mean to me, all the beliefs I created.
And everything that means to me and all the beliefs I created.
And I choose...
beliefs and strong memories, I'll say.
I choose to process and release them.
I choose to process and release them.
And gain the higher learning and knowledge.
And gain the higher learning and knowledge.
So that I can step into my highest power.
So that I can step into my highest power.
For the good of all.
For the good of all.
How could those Germans have been so stupid?
How could, us Germans been so stupid?
Yeah.
How could Germany be so stupid?
How could Germany be so stupid?
How could Germany be so stupid?
I just wanted to be that peaceful beekeeper.
I just wanted to be that peaceful beekeeper.
I wanted to enjoy the countryside and the bees.
I wanted to enjoy the countryside and the bees.
I wanted to give those large chunks of honeycomb to the children.
I wanted to give those large chunks of honeycomb to the children.
And I still remember the shock reading the letter.
And I still remember the shock reading the letter,
Hearing the orders.
hearing the order.
I had no choice.
I had no choice.
I had no option.
I had no option.
I was too old to try and run away and start a life somewhere else.
I was too old to run away, bail out, start a life somewhere else.
So I had to put the uniform back on.
So I had to put the uniform back on.
And take on the job I was ordered.
And take on the job I was ordered.
My heart wasn't in it.
My heart was not in it. My heart hated it.
My heart hated it.
My heart hated it.
I had all this conflict within.
I had all this conflict within.
How can Germany be so stupid?
How can Germany be so stupid?
I had to follow orders.
I had to follow orders.
My eyes became mirrors.
My eyes became mirrors.
I just couldn't show anything. I had to stuff the emotion down.
I just could not show anything. I had to stuff the emotion down.
All the things my eyes saw.
All the things my eyes saw.
All the traumas.
All the traumas.
The trains kept coming and coming.
The trains kept coming and coming.
What am I going to do with all of these people?
What am I going to what am I going to do with all of these people?
All of the emotions trapped in my body.
All of the emotions trapped in my body.
What am I going to do with all of these people?
What am I going to do with all of these people?
Pull strings, find a place.
Say again.
Pull strings, find a place.
I'm still not understanding.
Pull strings.
Oh, pull string. Oh, I'm sorry. Pull strings, find a place.
Pull strings, find a place.
Pull strings, find a place.
I have to get them out of here.
I have to get them out of here.
Pull strings, find a place.
Pull strings, find a place.
I have to get them out of here.
I have to get them out of here.
Poland, Czechoslovakia.
Poland, Czechoslovakia.
Wherever I can find a place for them.
Wherever I can find a place for them.
But I didn't even find a place for a quarter of them.
But I didn't even find a place for even a quarter of them.
The trains kept coming.
The trains kept coming.
What am I going to do with all of these people?
What am I going to do with all of these people?
Germany's so stupid.
Germany's so stupid.
And they're making me obey orders.
And they're making me obey orders.
I feel so trapped.
I feel so trapped.
I have to push all of the emotions down.
I have to push all of the emotions down.
All of the emotions from what I'm seeing.
All the emotions from what I'm seeing.
Still trapped in my eyes.
Still trapped in my eyes.
All of the regret and sadness.
All of the regret and sadness.
I want to release it and let it go now.
I want to release it and let it go now.
All the way back to its origin, wherever it began.
All the way back to its origin, wherever it began.
In that life and every life.
In that life and every life.
I did the best I could.
I did the best I could.
I did pull strings and find places.
I did pull strings and find places.
I did the best I could.
I did the best I could.
But they kept bringing them on trains.
But they kept bringing more on trains.
Stupid Germans.
Stupid Germans.
What were they
Stupid
thinking?
Me.
What were they thinking?
What was I thinking?
Stupid me.
Stupid me.
I had to follow orders.
I had to follow orders.
Being in the position I was.
Being in the position I was.
I got to save many.
I got to save I got to save many,
as many as I could,
as many as I could,
but I always felt it wasn't enough.
but I always thought it wasn't enough.
All of my regret,
All of my regrets,
all of the emotions of what I saw,
all of the emotions of what I saw,
all of the pain and suffering,
all of the pain and suffering,
still trapped in my eyes.
still trapped in my eyes.
I choose to release it and let it go,
I choose to release it and let it go.
all the way back to its origin,
All the way back to its origins.
all the way back to the beekeeper,
All the way back to the beekeeper.
all the way back to seeing the bulldozer moving those naked bodies into a grave.
All the way back to seeing the bulldozers moving those naked bodies into a grave.
Those perfectly good bodies.
Those perfectly good bodies.
How dare they dishonor them that way?
How were they dishonored that way?
Don't do that.
Do not do that.
What an ultimate waste.
What an ultimate waste.
I can still feel it in the heart.
I can I can still feel it in the heart.
And I ask my heart
And I ask my heart
to process and release it now,
to process and release it now.
all the way back to its origin.
All the way back to its origins.
And even though at a human level,
And even though at a human level,
I didn't understand the suffering,
I did not understand the suffering,
part of me understands at a soul level
part of me understands at a soul level
that this was all of their soul agreements.
that this was all of their soul agreements.
It was part of humanity's learning journey.
It was part of humanity's learning journey.
And in honor of their learning,
And in honor of their learning,
I choose to release and let go of the trauma trapped in my body.
I choose to release and let go of the trauma trapped in my body,
Trapped in my eyes.
trapped in my eyes.
Everything I saw.
Everything I saw,
Everything I heard.
everything I heard.
I choose to release and let go of the trauma and emotion.
I choose to release and let go of the trauma and emotion.
And tune into that part of me that understands the soul level.
And tune into that part of me that really understands the soul level,
The soul agreements.
the soul agreement.
It was all part of the plan.
It was all part of the plan.
And I ask my human DNA
And I ask my human DNA
and the multidimensional layers of my DNA
and the multi-dimensional layers of my DNA
to process and release any remaining negative emotions
to process and release any remaining negative emotion
and conflict
and conflict
out of my eyes,
out of my eyes,
out of my ears,
out of my ears,
out of my whole body.
out of my heart and my whole body.
It's safe to remember what I saw
It's safe to remember what I saw
by honoring their soul's journeys,
by honoring their soul's journey,
releasing and letting go of any self-punishment,
releasing and letting go of any self-punishment,
any guilt,
any guilt,
any regret,
any regret,
still trapped in my eyes.
still trapped in my eyes,
Smashing the mirror in my eyes.
smashing the mirror in my eyes.
It's safe for me to show emotion.
It's safe for me to show emotion.
It's safe for people to see into me, to my eyes.
It's safe for all people to see into my eyes.
I won't be killed for it now.
I won't be killed for it now.
It's safe now.
It's safe now.
It's safe for my eyes
It's safe for my eyes
to see and express emotion.
To see and express emotion.
It's safe for my eyes to
It's
cry
safe.
now.
It's safe for my eyes to cry now.
It's safe for my eyes to see now.
It's safe for my eyes to see now.
I release and let go of all remaining negative emotions trapped there.
I release and let go of all remaining negative emotions trapped there.
Releasing the reaction to pain and suffering.
Releasing the reaction to pain and suffering.
And having a higher soul level understanding.
And having a higher soul level understanding.
Mm-hmm. So how does that feel now when you imagine all that you saw? Imagining seeing and reading that that order from that you have to become a commandant of a temporary concentration camp nearby. Realizing you have no choice and option, putting the uniform back on, taking the job, and making that decision that I can't show anything.
Well,
and the trains that keep coming and coming.
Say again.
The trains that keep coming and coming.
Yeah. It was at least for the short term, it was a functional strategy, and down the lifeline, down the time track, it's not serving me. But I guess that's my mind reaction. But say your question again.
So is there an emotional reaction when you think of it now in your body? Because
well, yeah,
what usually
not so much.
Yeah, what usually happens is when the emotional reaction releases, you get that cognitive shift, which is what you just had, which is, well, I had to be like that to get through it.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to mention, which is maybe it's I don't know if it's just an aside or if it's more.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. I'm sure I could clearly I could when I was a kid. How old? I don't think whenever something's so emotional that my body is crying, there's never any tears.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I say I would think you had the dry macular degeneration and now it's becoming wet. So that over the years, it's like your body's starting to give you permission to release those tears that you weren't able to release.
Mm-hmm. I can have a boatload of emotional reaction, and you would think a normal person would be crying, and I am crying, but there's no tears.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So let's just work on that bit. Okay, so even though in the past,
even though in the past,
I've had a boatload of emotional reactions with no tears.
I've had a boatload of emotional reactions with no tears.
And it's likely to relate back to when I was the beekeeper.
It's likely to relate back to when I was the beekeeper.
When I wasn't allowed to shed a tear.
When I wasn't allowed to shed a tear.
Because shedding a tear and showing emotion would have meant I'd be killed.
Because showing a tear and showing emotion meant that I would be killed and that I would not have any option to be functional in any way.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that I wouldn't be able to function.
And that I would not be able to function.
And I wouldn't have been able to get all of those people out of there.
And I wouldn't have been able to get all those people out of there, do any good for anybody.
Mm-hmm. I accept myself.
I accept myself.
And this pattern that my body took on.
And this pattern that my body took on.
And I thank my body for doing that to protect me.
And I thank my body for doing that to protect me.
But that pattern and protection no longer serves me.
But that pattern and protection no longer serves me.
And as a being of light,
and as a being of light,
I choose to release it.
I choose to release it.
Releasing that
releasing
pattern
that
releasing that pattern
all the way back
all the
to its
way back to its
origin,
origin,
all the way back to its origin,
all the way back to
all
the
the way back to
beekeeper
the
lifetime.
beekeeper lifetime.
all the way back to the beekeeper lifetime.
It served me
It
to have
served
it
me to
then.
have it then.
It served me to have it then.
It was a matter of survival then.
It was a matter of survival then.
I wouldn't have been any good to anyone without it.
I would not have been any good to anyone without it.
It was required for me then to survive
It was required for me to survive
and to help those others.
and to help those others.
I had to have tearless crying.
I had to have tearless crying.
I had to have tearless emotions.
I had to have tearless emotions.
I had to push them down
I had to push them down
in order to function.
in order to function.
And I created that pattern,
And I created that pattern,
that habit,
that habit,
out of survival mode.
out of survival mode.
And my body's been practicing it.
And my body has been practicing it.
And I thank my body for protecting me.
And I thank my body for protecting me.
But this protection and pattern no longer serves me.
But this protection and pattern no longer serves me.
And I choose to release it.
And I choose to release it.
I speak directly to my tear ducts.
I speak directly to my tear ducts.
And let my tear ducts know it's safe to cry again.
And let my tear ducts know it's safe to cry again.
And let my eyes and my tear ducts know it's safe to express emotion now.
And to let my eyes and my tears know that it's safe to express emotion now.
And that after all those years of dry macular degeneration,
And after all those years of dry macular degeneration,
and all of those emotional reactions with no tears,
and all of those emotional reactions with no tears,
now my body is having wet macular degeneration.
yes, having wet macular degeneration.
And I choose to have balance now.
And I choose to have balance now.
Restoring balance to my eyes and my emotions.
Restoring balance to my eyes and my emotions.
All the way back to its origin.
All the way back to its origin.
In this life and every life.
In this life and every life.
I restore balance to where there was imbalance.
I restore balance to where there was imbalance.
Especially in my eyes.
Especially in my eyes.
And I let my eyes know it's safe to see clearly now.
And I let my eyes know it's safe to see clearly now.
And to feel emotions with what I see.
And to feel emotions with what I see.
I no longer have to push it down.
I no longer have to push it down.
It doesn't serve me to push it down now.
It does not serve me to push it down now.
I prefer to express it and process it.
I prefer to express it and process it.
It doesn't serve me to keep it trapped.
It does not serve me to keep it trapped.
And I choose to release it.
And I choose to release it.
Releasing and letting go.
Releasing and letting go.
Any imbalance.
Any imbalance.
In my emotions.
In my emotions.
In my eyes.
In my eyes.
I choose to have balance again.
I choose to have balance again.
In my eyes and my emotions.
In my eyes and my emotions.
Mm-hmm. So how does that feel? What was coming up? What, anything ring true for you there?
I'm in agreement. That's where I want to go. That's where I want to be. And, I don't know. I was, focusing on the process. I didn't happen to feel shivers or anything.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's probably, circumstantial, or it might be there and might not be there. I don't know.
Okay. So I want you to just very quickly give the very brief story of the beekeeper and see if there's any emotion that comes up now.
Okay, well, there's a prequel. I don't know how it plays here. Well, it does to an extent. I got the notion or feeling or sense. I couldn't describe it exactly how it happened, but that the beekeeper in World War One,
Mm-hmm.
well, got emotion here, so it's
Mm-hmm.
probably something to it. Was a
Just tap here.
hmm,
Don't say anything yet. Just say, I release and let go
I release and let go
of all of the emotion trapped in my body
of all of the emotion trapped in my body.
when I think about the beekeeper in World War One.
When I think about the beekeeper in World War One,
All of the emotion trapped in my body
all of the emotion trapped in my body
related to the beekeeper in World War One.
related to the beekeeper in World War One.
I instruct my body to process and release it now.
I instruct my body to release it and to
Process it.
process and release it now.
Mm-hmm. The beekeeper in World War One.
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 Processing and releasing all of the emotion related to the beekeeper in World War One.
Processing and releasing all of the emotion related to the beekeeper in World War One.
Processing and releasing all of the emotion
Processing and releasing all of the emotion
to the beekeeper in World War One.
to the beekeeper in World War One.
Everything he saw,
Everything he saw,
everything he heard,
everything he heard,
everything he felt,
everything he felt, and everything he did.
and everything he did. Releasing all of the related emotions that no longer serve him.
Releasing all of the related emotions that no longer serve him or me.
Or me, yeah. Releasing it and letting it go.
Releasing, letting it go.
Okay, so if you continue tapping here and talking about the beekeeper in World War One, what comes up? Everything he did. What he did, what he saw.
The short answer is he was a German fighter pilot.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have a sense of any particulars. Well, I do have a sense. I mean, there is a few words.
Mm-hmm.
And it came out. I was in a weekly therapy group, and I can't remember, and I can't remember if it was in the group or it was in private session.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow the topic came up about, well, it wouldn't apply now with radar and jets and 50,000 feet. But the simple, as a fighter pilot, as an attack pilot, as a pursuit pilot,
Mm-hmm.
the short story of your job description is come out of the sun, get as close as you can, hit them as hard as you can.
Mm-hmm. And when you say that, get as close as you can, and what else? Shoot.
Get as close as you can, hit them as hard as you can.
Hit them as hard as you can. Where do you feel that in your body?
I would say from the arms on up.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. I mean, that's the arm that's guiding the plane and pushing the machine gun button.
Yep. Arms up. All right. Even though I have this memory in my body.
Even though I have this memory in my body.
From my arms upwards.
From my arms upward.
As a German fighter pilot.
As a German fighter pilot.
In World War One.
In World War One.
Where it was all about attacking and pursuing.
when it was all about attacking and pursuit,
coming out of the sun,
coming out of the sun,
getting as close as you can,
getting as close as you can,
and hitting them as hard as you can.
hitting as hard as you can.
I accept myself and all the reactions still in my body.
I accept myself and all of the reactions still in my body.
And I instruct my body to release them and let them go.
And I instruct my body to release them and let them go.
I was in survival mode pattern.
I was in survival mode pattern.
Fight or flight response.
Fight or flight response.
Kill them or be killed.
Kill them or be killed.
We were taught to come out of the sun.
We were taught to come out of the sun.
We were taught to get as close as we could.
We were taught to get as close as we could.
We were taught to hit them as hard as we could.
We were taught to hit them as hard as we could.
And the memory of that is in my arms and my upper body.
The memory of that is in my arms and my upper body and my eyes.
And my eyes. I had to have great vision.
I had to have great vision.
I had to look into the sun.
I had to look into the sun.
I had to look for those other planes.
I had to look for the other planes.
I had to have precision eyes.
I had to have precision eyes.
All of the trauma trapped in those eyes.
All of the trauma trapped in those eyes.
Searching for danger.
Searching for danger.
Kill or be killed.
Kill or be killed.
Hit them as hard as you can.
Hit them as hard as you can.
Come out of the sun.
Come out of the sun.
Get as close as you can.
Get as close as you can.
Hit them as hard as you can.
Hit them as hard as you can.
I can still feel the muscles hitting the artillery.
I can still feel the muscles hitting the artillery, the machine gun buttons.
Machine gun buttons.
Or lever, I guess, actually.
The machine gun lever. I can still feel it in my body.
I can still feel it in my body.
And I thank my body for protecting me all this time.
And I thank my body for protecting me all of that time.
Everything I had to see.
Everything I had to see.
All of that sharp watching.
All of that sharp watching.
I release and let go of all the trauma in that.
I release and let go of all the trauma in that.
Asking my guides and higher self.
Asking my guides and higher self.
To help me process and release this.
To help me process and release this.
All the way back to its origin.
All the way back to its origin on every level and dimension.
Mm-hmm. All parts of me.
All parts of me.
In all dimensions.
In all dimensions.
As that German fighter pilot.
As that German fighter pilot.
In World War I.
In World War One.
And every other lifetime.
And every other lifetime.
Where my eyes have had trauma.
When my eyes have
held trauma.
When my eyes have held trauma.
All of the precision precision watching.
All the precision watching.
Watching for danger.
Watching for danger.
Flying into the sun.
Flying out in the sun, out of the sun, actually.
And out of the sun. All of the reflections.
All of the reflections.
Sun reflecting on planes.
Sun reflecting on planes.
All of the explosions I saw.
All of the explosions I saw.
All of the trauma my eyes remember.
All of the trauma my eyes remember.
I release and let it go once and for all.
I release and let it go once and for all.
All of the trauma that I held within.
All of the trauma that I held within.
Releasing the fight or flight response.
Releasing the fight or flight response.
Releasing the kill or be killed response.
Releasing the kill or be killed response.
Releasing those automatic muscle reactions.
Releasing those automatic muscle reactions.
On the machine guns.
On the machine gun.
I choose to feel calm and at peace.
I choose to feel calm and at peace.
Even when I remember being the German fighter pilot.
Even when I remember being the German fighter pilot.
Allowing that part of me to understand the higher lessons.
Allowing that part of me to understand the higher lessons.
Releasing that stress response.
Releasing that stress response.
Releasing the guilt.
Releasing the guilt.
Releasing the regret.
Releasing the regret.
Releasing all of the negative emotions in my eyes.
Releasing all of the negative emotions in my eyes.
In my upper body.
In my upper body.
It's time to feel peace.
It's time to feel peace.
Like the peace of the beekeeper with his bees.
Like the peace of the beekeeper with his bees.
That's the peace I choose to feel.
That's the peace I choose to feel.
And I take that peace to every other part of my life.
And I take that peace to every other part of my life.
And every other part of that lifetime.
And every other part of that lifetime.
And any other lifetime where I felt trauma.
And any other lifetime where I felt trauma.
It's safe for my eyes to see clearly again now.
It's safe for my eyes to see clearly again now.
It's safe for me to feel emotion and process it.
It's safe for me to feel emotion and process it.
Without feeling it and keeping it trapped.
Without feeling and keeping it trapped.
I choose to process and release any remaining trauma.
I choose to process and release any remaining trauma.
In my eyes and my whole body.
In my eyes and my whole body.
And I feel the peace of the beekeeper with his bees.
And I feel the peace of the beekeeper with his bees.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How does that feel?
Well, super welcome. I'm going there, I think. I hope I'm going there.